So we're still using the NCR3 control unit that we recently purchased. This time round we're going to have a look at some of the tracking features that opens up for us. This is a spotlight track. You can see that I've simply drawn a green box around myself. The drone is stationary and I am moving. The drone will track me really very well actually. It's been very windy when I've filmed all of these clips, so if there's any jiggling around, that's the wind that's pushing the drone about. Not only will the drone pan left and right, it will also move the camera up and down to follow me as best as it can. It tends to keep me centralized. So let's reposition the drone using the joysticks. It still stays locked on me. Put it down at the bottom of the slope this time. I walk back up to the top. It's still locked on me. And then I'll start walking back down again. So now we will have footage from the top of the slope and footage from the bottom of the slope. And I'll actually pass underneath the drone deliberately to see how it could cope with that. It does quite well. It spins round and tracks me off into the distance. This kind of thing can be used when you're out on a walk and you just want a nice shot that shows everyone where you are, but you also want a little bit of action going on. You want something going on, you include yourself in it. It's like having your own personal cameraman out with you. You can get some really nice establishing shots just to show where you are and what you're doing. So with the drone up in the air and stationary, it will not only track people, but it will track cars as well. You can see I have something called focus lock on, and it's giving me suggestions as to possible objects that it can track. All I have to do is click on one of those. It selects it and it follows it. It loses those two cars and it picks up the next one coming along. All I've got to do is touch that on the screen and it's locked on and tracks that vehicle. I switch that off and lock on to the next one and it tracks it back again. That's all I'm doing, is just pressing the suggestive locks. And give you some really nice shots if you're driving around the Peak District or Scotland or anything like that and you find a nice corner or a nice bit of valley. This can really add some good shots to your videos. Now we're going to look at using the spotlight tracking on a stationary object. So we're using the car here because it's just convenient. Locks on, you pick spotlight. I'm trying to force it to break the lock here. I'm trying to rotate the drone, trying to break the lock, but it won't have it. It stops the drone moving, keeps that lock in the screen. Just by moving the sticks on the controller, I can now move the drone anywhere I like and it will stay locked on the vehicle and keep that nicely centered. We can go left, right, we can go up and down, we can go fast and slow. Unless you try and fly over that object and put the camera out of its range of movement, it will stay locked on. Which is also very useful if you want to just do a nice tracking shot of a building. You can see in the top of the tracking box there's a little green cross. If I want to switch that lock off, all I've got to do is press that. Camera's locked on, nice and central. All I'm doing here is putting a little bit of right input in and a little bit of upwards movement, and you get a lovely perfect shot that you can add into your films. So now we're looking at active tracking. Lock it onto me again. You'll see we've got two circles down in the corner. We can set the radius and the height of these two circles in the menus. And all I'm doing now is just pressing on points of those circles. Press and the drone moves. I don't have to do anything else. Press, the drone moves. This is really testing it on this zigzag path, to be honest, because it doesn't really have enough time to move into the position I'm telling it to go to. So it really was giving it a proper test here. It seems to be coping. It's supposed to be behind me now. Now it's going to go over to the right. Again, all I'm having to do is just press the point on them circles on the screen of my phone. It will actually sense the bridge behind it and move away from that. Over to the right, and then I swing it around behind me. Not a great bit of footage, but it was really just a test to see how well it coped with all those movements and a zigzag path. So as well as tracking a person, you can also track a vehicle. Draw a box around the car, it will log on, choose active track. Again, we can use the two circles to move it around as we're going along. Unfortunately, the road I was on wasn't suitable. There's too many trees. There's a phone line running down one side of it. So I just kept it in front of the car just to see how it coped. Seems to be coping really well. I'm not going very fast. I did actually try it behind the car as well, which worked just as well. You can speed the footage up if you want to go make it look a little bit faster. I think probably about 20 miles an hour the drone would do, but it's a bit of a risk when you're on your own, to be honest. There is another way to track something, and it's called point of interest. Lock onto the subject that you want to track around. Again, I'm using the car because it was convenient. You can see that two arrows have appeared on the screen. These are literally touchscreen sliders. Over to the left fast, and it switches the other way. Again, nice constant steady speed. You can put height inputs in if you want to. I had to avoid this woman who just decided to walk through the middle of what I was doing. You can just leave it alone to get on and rotate around your subject. Slow it right down again. It's ridiculously slow, to be honest, but if that's what you want to do, that's good. You would never be able to fly a perfect circle around a subject like that manually, especially if that subject happened to be right in the middle of a field that you're not allowed to go into. So this is a monument that's down by Stamford Hall, middle of a private field. I can't get to it, so I fly the drone over to it. Lock onto the subject. You see it's centralized. With the sliders, I could just send the drone rotating around it. It does its best to keep it in the middle. Depends what sort of lock you've got on it. I'll probably actually lock just off to one side of it. There's me in the gateway on the other side of the field. Again, you would never be able to do this manually. So that's it for this video. We've looked at the various forms of tracking that it will do. There are a few other things to look at. Cruise control, sports mode, which speeds everything up. I will make another video looking at that. I also did a distance test. Chickened out at 500 meters, which is half a kilometer. When you finish filming your subject, cancel the lock and just fly the drone back to where you are.